Hi, everybody. So, sorry if there was a little bit of confusion. For some reason, the stream that I had set up on StreamYard today just wasn't there when I went to, so I had to set up a whole new one. So, sorry about that. But anyway, I'm really excited to talk with all of you. I hope that you're not roasting too much. It's unfortunately really hot in my house, so I'm gonna have to have the AC guy come and take a look. But it's brutal around here, and I finally just got my AC fixed on my car, so I guess now I have to get fixed on my house. But I'm really excited because I feel like I finally kind of broke through that rough patch that I was having in May and June, where I just didn't like a whole lot of the movies that I was seeing. And now July has been much, much better. And so that makes me very happy because I don't really enjoy having unpopular opinions. It's not my favorite. So, that's just something that happens sometimes. And I appreciate all the support they've gotten from so many of you in those unpopular opinions. I really, really, really do. And so yeah, we're going to talk about what I've been watching since the last live stream, and I'm going to try to do these every week. So hopefully they won't be that long going forward. But we're going to talk about what I saw on the screen and also on the stage. So this will be really fun. Okay, so the first thing that I saw on stage is, and you can do a super chat if you sign on and you feel so inclined, then you can do that. Okay, so then we have the first thing I saw on stage was Anastasia at Timpanogos Community Theater. This is a very strong community theater and really great cast, excellent costumes, professional worthy. They actually had a good Gleb, which I think is such a boring role. They took Rasputin and they made him into this general, and they just made him really boring. And it is a very weak adaptation of that movie, but they did an absolutely excellent job. This was professional quality in so many ways. Like I said, costumes, sets, several of the performances, the dancing, the way that they created the train, the way that they all moved in tandem to create movement. It was very cool. So I did enjoy it, even though I really don't enjoy Anastasia that much. I was able to give it a positive review. So there we go. Then next I saw on the stage, I saw The Nutty Professor. And this was an interesting experience. This was at Hale Center Theater. This was a premiere. I was really looking forward to seeing it. And unfortunately, I sat next to this creepy guy who he was sitting next to his daughter, and he leans over me and says that, oh, she doesn't want to cuddle with me. Maybe you will. And I was just like, are you kidding me? And luckily there were two seats. I was only using one, so I was able to scoot away from him. But still, it just kind of made the whole experience unfortunate. I was still able to. I'm really proud of my review because it was definitely unsettling, and I still gave a very professional review. But it just kind of ruined the whole experience, and I've never really had anything happen like that to me. So I guess I should be grateful that I've never had anything like that happen, because I know some women have things like that happen to them all the time, which is disgusting and horrible. But yeah. But as far as the play, it was really, really energetic. I really love Spencer Howell, who played the lead. He's very charismatic, a really good actor here. And I think it has potential. There's a couple of really good songs. My favorite was a song called Everything You've Learned Is Wrong. That was a very catchy tune. I do think the songs got a lot better in the second act. And I've been feeling that a lot lately for some reason. Like, second acts are really winning me over to shows. But I think with a little tweaking, this has potential that you could see it on Broadway or something like that. So, that's interesting. And it's based on the Jerry Lewis Nutty Professor, not on the Eddie Murphy. So then I saw The Music Man, and this was incredible. This was at Kaysville. This was on July 4th, and I could not believe this huge huge high school auditorium, full, every seat basically taken. They had over 900 people on a holiday to see the Music Man. I just thought that was amazing. Incredible production, incredible backdrops, incredible sets, the costumes. There were some mic problems because it's such a big auditorium, but other than that, it was absolutely excellent and such a fun tradition now that I've started seeing the Music Man on July 4th. I think I've done the last 3 years. So I love that they helped me continue that tradition. So that was really fun. So then I saw Fiddler on the Roof at High Valley Arts. And this is an outdoor theater. And I've seen Music Man there, actually. They've always crushed it. This is a long drive to get to this theater is an hour. But this was so good. I thought everything was excellent. The singing, the dancing, the sets, the way they did Tevye's Dream was brilliant. They had all the actresses with kind of like a cheesecloth type fabric over their heads, which made them look like spirits. Like, I thought that was really smart, like a sheer type fabric. And I thought it was so well directed, and they had the way the set was done. The fiddler was so good that they had on the roof, literally Fiddler on the Roof. It was excellent. It was really good. Let's see, I got some comments here. And Jeremiah says, "Hi, Rachel. Always good to see you. Fiddler, of course, is one of my favorite plays I've seen. Local productions of it. Obviously, the movie is brilliant. Absolutely." And she says, "I saw Fiddler on Broadway." Oh, that's so cool. I would love to see it on Broadway. I've never seen it on Broadway, but this was just an absolutely excellent production. All the acting was really good from all your leads. The dancing was all excellent. It was such a shame because they did so good with the bottle dance. And then just at the end, one of them lost it. You're like, oh man. But I mean, it was excellent. I really enjoyed it. So that was fun. Okay, so let's see here. Then the last live thing I just actually got back from, I saw Disaster. This is Taylorsville Arts Council, and this is the first time this show has been done in Utah. So that's exciting, and I admire them for doing something new. And at first, I was just not feeling this at all. I think the first act is pretty weak. And it's not until the second act, when all the disaster stuff starts happening, that I thought it started to get funny. And I think that the way that they used the sets was actually quite brilliant. The way that they changed and evolved and created like fire and created water and all of that was very inventive and clever. They had a full live band, which for a community production is pretty impressive. The singing was not the strongest, but they tried their best. But I did enjoy it way more in the second act than in the first. Let's see here. Where Jeremiah says, "This is random, but I've been taking a trip down memory lane with old Rotoscopers episodes. I forgot you used to call in and that you even appeared in person on the show to review Secret Life of Pets." A couple times I've been on Rotoscopers, 3 or 4 times. In fact, I think I was on the sequel to The Secret Life of Pets 2, I think. I can't remember all the ones. I was on one of the Trolls episodes. Yeah, good friends with Morgan and Chelsea, and they're really one of the big inspirations for me for starting my own podcasts, and because I really enjoyed what they did, and I felt like, okay, maybe I have something to say, and maybe I could do it, and so that's so cool that you're looking back at those old episodes, because I really enjoyed. They're coming on their 300th episode, so that's awesome for them, and so cool. And it says, "Your hair looks so pretty." Oh, you're so sweet. It's so hot. I had it down but because my AC isn't working at the moment, I had to put it up because it was just too hot. But you're sweet. But anyway, Disaster, it just gets, of course, very, very silly. It's just like a bunch of karaoke numbers. But I don't know if I'd ever see it again. But, I'm glad that you got to try new things in life. You can't just stick with the same old, same old. You got to try new things. So there we go. That is the shows. I think of these ones that I saw, I think my favorite is probably it's probably that Fiddler on the Roof was really, really, really good. So, oh, I also went and saw the Christmas in July at Deer Valley. Of course, as soon as I heard about it, I was really excited. Utah Symphony doing Christmas in July, Deer Valley Amphitheater up in Park City. But I was kind of disappointed. You go for Christmas in July, and they only have two carols or Christmassy songs. They had the rest was they had were more like winter themed. They had Vivaldi's Winter, and then they had the summer song sequence, and then they did the Nutcracker for the whole second act. Which, yeah, I get that. That's Christmassy, but like there were a lot of kids there, and they're not going to be that interested in the Nutcracker. So why not have just do a medley of pieces from the Nutcracker and then do Santa Claus Coming to Town and things like that. Like it was a bit disappointing, but they did have the most delicious ice cream sandwich I've ever had there. So there was that. so but yeah, so I did also do that. So that's all of the live performances that I saw the last couple weeks. Let's see here. Sorry. Let's see here. Um, which two songs? Which I lost. Sorry, I lost track. If you were talking about Disaster, um, I just saw Fly with Me. I was disappointed. Oh yeah, you didn't like it? That's too bad. I thought it was fun. I enjoyed it. Uh, okay, so here we go. Let's talk about movies now. Okay, so, since I last updated, I saw on the same day, I saw The Bike Riders and I saw Horizon: An American Saga, chapter 1, and now it looks like we're not gonna get chapter 2 in the theaters. And I thought that both of these were underwhelming. They both have good things about them. The Bike Riders, I it does have some really good performances, and Jeff Nichols is good at getting performances from his actors. But just the story, it just didn't really do a whole lot for me, and I didn't really like Jodie Comer's performance or character. I don't know. It just ran kind of flat for me. And then Horizons an American Saga, I just thought that it was really boring and like none of the stories I would want to see a whole movie on their own by themselves. So I mixed all together it didn't really work. I said in my review, it was kind of like Love Actually, but for a Western. Now, Love Actually have all these stories, but and they all kind of supposed to work together. Well, this is supposed to trying to do that, but with a Western. And but the problem was, it's just none of them were that compelling. And like, I mean, I guess like some of those Gary Marshall rom coms, but with a Western. So yeah, I would not want to see the second one. Then I saw Kinds of Kindness. This is the latest from Yorgos Lanthimos, and I absolutely hated it. I hated all three stories. I hated the messaging. I didn't really understand the messaging on some of them, especially the third one, what they were trying to show with Emma Stone's character getting raped by her husband, but she's made to feel bad about it because she's not there with her daughter. And I guess that was showing like how we manipulated role, but it was oddly sympathetic to the husband at times, which I just thought was really strange. And it involves each one of them involves cannibalism and cults, and I just it was unbearable. I hated it, and I just not for me. Um, then I saw Despicable Me 4, and I think that this has some funny gags. There was a gag where they were trying to use the card reader at the gas station. That was funny. Whenever they showed the minion in the vending machine, that was funny. There were some funny gags, but I thought the whole plot involving the heist was just weird. It was such a distraction from everything else. It felt like a whole different movie. And I really didn't like the Will Ferrell villain, the cockroach villain. That wasn't my favorite. It's like it's not the worst Despicable Me movie. It's not, but it's definitely not the best, and not as good as Rise of Gru, in my opinion. So I guess it depends on how into the franchise you are. And then they have this whole thing at the end where there's all these like greatest hits of the franchise. And I don't know, I just thought that was like really funny. That is anybody like, oh, there's Scarlet Overkill, there's, I don't know, or whatever her name was. It's funny to me. Like, does anybody even remember some of these characters? But yeah, so I definitely couldn't recommend it. So then I saw Maxine, and I have liked all three of these films from Ty West. I think The Pearl is a masterpiece. I mean, it's definitely like outside of my comfort zone. I don't see a ton of slashers, and I can tell that this one is definitely more by the numbers. It's more predictable, but I thought it had like enough style and enough of a compelling performance, and kind of enough to say Hollywood and fame and all of that for I thought it was worthy of recommendation. Not perfect by any means, but I liked it. So there we go. Then I saw Kill, and this was the Indian film, and this thing is intense. And the whole thing is filmed on a train, and it's kind of like this guy. He finds out that his fiance is being forced into this arranged marriage, and there's sort of these two rival gangs that are on this train, and so all the action is all filmed in these incredibly tight quarters of this train, and it is incredibly violent, and not just all the deaths that occur, which there are many, but the sound design is very visceral. You feel every knuckle crack, you feel every rib crack, you feel every hit land. It was intense. It is definitely not for the faint of heart. But very well done. I mean, for what it's trying to be, I definitely recommend it. And I've never seen anything like it. And I've seen The Raid, and yeah, I've never seen anything quite like this. It was very, very good if you like this kind of action thing. It was a lot for me, but it was very well done. So then I saw this movie called Touch. That this is a film from Iceland, and it's about this man who this relationship in his like 20s when he was a college student in London. He's from Iceland, and March 2020, so like the very beginning of the pandemic, he found out these health news, and he's like, you know what, I need to go, and I need to live my life, and which was such like an interesting contrast to have with all the panic of the pandemic and everything, and like you're running out of time was kind of a feeling. So he's like, I need to find this woman that I had known so many years before. So you see his journey as well as the younger journey. And the two younger people are absolutely stunning, like gorgeous, and the older are as well. But it's a very beautifully cast movie, and it's sweet and simple and romantic. Has something to say, a lot of heart. Really enjoyed it. Let's see here. Uh, Lisa says, "Is this because I cut my own hair?" And the punchline response is, "No, that's the idea of humor payoff in this movie. Not funny." Yeah, yeah, it really wasn't that funny. Like I said, there were a couple gags, but nothing even close to the plane gag in the Rise of Gru that was peak minions, in my opinion. It looks like it has energy, but I'll wait for streaming if I see it at all. Oh, if you want to see Kill, I would really recommend seeing it on the big screen. It's like the action's just not gonna be the same on the small. So if it seems like something that would interest you, I would highly recommend checking out in the theater. And you're just not gonna have that same like sound experience, that same just it's just not gonna be the same. And I've seen the trailers for Touch. It looks very sweet and well acted. Yeah, it really is a hidden gem. So I highly recommend it. I was thinking a lot of people will probably think this year's Past Lives, but I didn't find it as stressful as that movie. Because I was so stressed out that whole movie that she's going to cheat on her husband. I'm like, please don't cheat on your husband. He's so nice. And so there was none of that stress in Touch. Then I saw Sound of Hope, the story of Possum Trot. And this is a big surprise for me. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was so moving. I bawled my eyes out all about this town that decide to adopt all these kids that are disparaged. I mean, technically, it is a faith-based film, but really, it's more about faith being this community that galvanizes them together and supports them. There's not that much about like God or Christ or praying. Like most of it is about again the community that brings them together more than it is actually about like God. But I just found it so moving and with the sacrifices they made for these kids the and I just appreciate that it's about flawed people who make mistakes. And this thing there's no like big miracle that come or anything like that. It's about the day-to-day struggle when you're trying to help people and how hard it can be. I loved it. I thought it was great. So, I think a lot of people just see the, oh, David Snyder's involved in this, or it's the Sound of Freedom people, and won't even give it a chance, which I think is a shame because I do think it's like very well written and very well acted and just emotional. I cried and cried. I thought it was great. So yeah. Then I saw Fly Me to the Moon. So let me go back and get some of your points here. Let's see here. So she says, "Come fly with me." I was disappointed. And he says Channing Tatum can't act. He's very hot, but not a good actor. I thought he was fine in this. He kind of just needs to be like your like straight man, like he's not asked to do like a lot of heavy lifting as far as acting in this role. He's just supposed to be sort of your leading man. I thought he was fine. I thought she was very charismatic, and the costume designer made her. I mean, not that you need a lot of work to make Scarlett Johansson beautiful, but really they did a great job of making her like just really beautiful in the movie. And I like that her character was kind of complex, and she's a liar. And she justifies it at first, but she kind of goes on that. She's a pretty dynamic character for this kind of thing. I actually don't really think it's a rom com, like hardly at all. I mean, they barely spend any time together, and most of the stuff is about the history stuff and the NASA stuff, and most of it is very. Even when they are spending time together, most of it is very business, 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 and so I mean, I just think it's barely a romance. It's kind of similar to like if you consider like Legally Blonde, if you consider Miss Congeniality a rom com, those movies technically do have romances in them, but it's really not like the main part of the story. It's a side part, and that's how I would say with this. So it's not as bad as the Fall Guy in that respect, where the Fall Guy, like, they are just separated almost the whole movie, which was very frustrating to me. But still, I I thought that the sort of the take on history was pretty charming, and I felt a sense of victory when they when everything worked out. It was funny with that. I do think it's too long. And there are a bunch of redundant scenes. I think it could easily be 30 minutes shorter and would probably be a better film. But I thought that the stars were charming enough and the whole concept was charming enough, and I did enjoy it. So yeah, the big rough patch that I had been on for about 2 months, where I hardly liked anything except for Inside Out 2, is officially over, and I'm back to having a pretty like I went. I liked Fly Me to the Moon, Sound of Hope, Touch, Kill, and Vaccine all in a row. Plus, I didn't see it at the theater, but I saw What You Wish For, which is a really good little horror. If you like horror, this one you have to rent, but I highly recommend it. If you liked The Menu, it definitely has some similarities. They're both about chefs and they both go some pretty crazy places. But I thought it was really well acted and very, very like tense and creepy and so that's an under the radar pick that if you can handle some gore, it is pretty gory. But I thought it was a good little thriller. So I recommend or horror, whatever. I recommend What You Wished For. Checking that out. So that's another one recently that I like. So I've just really been on a roll, which makes me very happy because I don't really like having unpopular opinions. That's not my favorite. There we go. I think that that's everything that I had to talk about that I saw on stage or on screen. So let me know what you've been watching and what you think of the things I talked about. I would love to hear, especially if you've seen anything on stage. I would always love to hear that. And I have some fun stuff coming. And let's see here. We got one more comment before we go. Jeremiah says, Sound of Hope sounds powerful. I will say, even just the trailer was hard to watch, so it looks well done. The trailers for Fly Me to the Moon had great costumes, but weren't funny to me. No, it's not like outright like funny. It has amusing scenes. It's kind of it's charming. Um, but, like, I mean, I guess I would compare it somewhat. It's a more fictionalized Flight of Fancy version of, like, Hidden Figures and, some of these kinds of movies. So, it's not really a comedy, so don't expect, like, pratfalls and stuff like that. It's just sort of like historical fiction, kind of a thing. But yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I just haven't enough. I thought it was so and beautiful, beautiful film. So there we go. That is what's going on. So yeah, let me know what you think. What we're talking about, and check out the Patreon. That's the biggest thing. You can support me. We have an awesome Patreon watch along this month with patron Catherine Davis. We're watching Santa's Got Style, and it's so much fun to get to find out the behind the scenes of these movies. So please check out the Patreon. I would really appreciate it. And then I have the merch store with some new designs, so check that out. I would really appreciate that. And you can get I love rom-coms shirts. So those are fun. Take a look and thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to you later. Bye.